The opinions and hypotheticals expressed in this episode are just that. They are not presented to form a conclusion or be accusatory in any way. So please, don't hunt us down, government.
By George, I think I've got it.
Hybrothetical Thinking.
I saw that Bigfoot walking across the screen and I thought to myself, wow, they are real.
I ask us all, is that really reasonable?
Hybrothetical Thinking.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
I'll show you a little of the evidence.
Hybrothetical Thinking.
Researchers at Stanford University School of Medicine have pioneered a cancer vaccine that eliminated all traces of cancer in mice.
You could find evidence of that, my friends. You could change the world.
Hybrothetical Thinking, a podcast for the hypothetical thinker.
Greetings, travelers, and welcome to Hybrothetical Thinking, a semi-informative podcast. Yep, that's right, it's semi-informative that explores the journey from probability, from Johnny's toe, up through his kneecap, back down to his shin, and out his belly button. Woo! My name is Nick Floyd, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
I'm Taylor Nelson.
I am Johnny Clark.
And the way this works is that either Taylor or myself will do the research for our weekly episodes, and Johnny... Sweet Johnny McJohnster, the donut, goes into every episode completely blind, sort of like Splinter the Mouse.
Completely blind!
He has no idea what we're covering each week, but today is different. Taylor and I are actually co-hosting and doing the research for this episode together, and we will find out why soon enough.
I'm still blind.
We're a stronger team than Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme. We're
damn.
coming at these people hard, double dragon, what? Dude, back-to-back, fists up, ready to do some tornado kicks.
Damn.
Johnny, who's the best duo of all time?
Best duo of all time?
Yeah.
Like Batman Robin kind of thing?
Yeah, that's Taylor and
We're
I.
talking Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen type people.
We're talking all four Ninja Turtles, except if there were only two of them.
All four but in one.
Yeah, 1, 2, technically.
Scott Hall and Kevin Nash big.
We're talking about Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal big.
Oh my God.
We're talking Chuck Norris and the kid from Sidekicks big.
We're talking the Three Ninjas, except if there are only two of them.
Whoa. That's
Three Ninjas 4, gotta get the bro back.
that was insane. But
We can keep going.
do you guys have like a list of these things you're gonna wrap through? Well, so that's a change, but I'm still going to this blind. That's consistent.
Yeah, no, the whole point is it's different, but it's the same because you're blind as a fucking bat.
Different, but still same.
Yes.
You will hold our hand and we will lead you through the darkness. To the
And
light.
it's gonna get
light.
dark. It's gonna get real dark.
Real dark?
Real dark.
Real dark.
Like spooky dark.
Okay, spooky.
But before it gets dark, Taylor, you got any news for us?
Dude, I got a little bit of news. Just a little sports recap of what's been going on. I was gonna probe here and see if maybe Johnny could give us a little update. What's going on in the World Cup right now, Johnny?
It's going to the World Cup right now. Well, yesterday we had a great game where it was Brazil versus Belgium. I thought Brazil was going to win, but Belgium definitely won. Nick's giving me some hand signals. I can't really follow what he's looking, but I'm going to keep talking.
Tell him to move the mic closer to your damn face.
Is that better? All right, so England versus Sweden today. England won. I thought that was pretty surprising. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is not in the Sweden team. He's a great footballer, but he's not in the team. They've gotten a long way, Sweden has. England beat them today 2-0. I was pretty impressed by that. Yesterday there was a Brazil own goal, which is fascinating. In the last World Cup, they had a Brazil own goal against Croatia in the opening game at Brazil. A lot of things are going crazy. You know, already Spain's out. Already Germany is out. Italy didn't qualify. United States didn't qualify. Brazil is out. All these crazy things have happened.
Dude, my brain is just like melting.
France and England are the only... France and England are the only teams that are 5-star in the semifinals going forward. If Croatia, Russia... win or Belgium, it's gonna blow people's fucking minds. Because in the last, I think any World Cup that's been won, it's only been a 5-star team that's won. So that's the recap.
What gets you 5 stars? What gets you 5?
It's just a rating between your attack, midfield, and defense, including your goalkeeper, and like a FIFA World Cup rating. So like 85s and up are 5 stars in attack, and the same thing for mid and defense.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's like when a movie's real good on Netflix.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
Rotten Tomatoes score.
You give it 5 stars.
It's a gross estimation, and
85 is pretty low. Like if I could have got an 85 on a test and got an A, man.
But then again, there are no hundreds.
Getting A's, bro.
There are no hundreds in the world of sports for.
Better not be. Michael Vick doesn't play soccer.
Oh my God!
Some actual big news in the world of soccer here.
That was big news.
So last Saturday, not 2 days ago Saturday, but the previous Saturday, we'll say 9 days ago, however many fucking days that is. Math wizards, get your calendars out and do some adding here with your protractors. But
Protractors.
Last Saturday, June 30th, 2018, 2 giants were on the fucking field. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi.
Lionel,
like the train.
very similar.
So these two guys are arguably the biggest soccer stars on the planet. Of all time, you say?
People will argue that Diego Maradona from Argentina was the best of all time. He won a lot. He won the World Cup. But right now, it's like speculated that Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are the best of all time.
Better than Pele. Better than the redheaded guy with the afro. Better than Mia Hamm?
Wait, the guy with the afro.
Beckham? Can they bend it like Beckham, Johnny?
Some of these people have great moments. Like, I'm talking about Alexi Lalas, the redheaded guy. Some of these people have great moments, but
hair was amazing. The best Sports Illustrated pictures of all time.
He's actually kind of it's not important. But anyways,
Dude, I could give less of it. I give less of a shit right now than I did about Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson.
But people deserve to care about that shit.
Dude, yeah. Uruguay versus Portugal, France versus Argentina. You got the 2 biggest players possibly in history facing against each other on the same fucking day. Apparently both those teams lost, though. Is that right?
Yeah. They were versing each other. They were playing different teams, but they both lost.
Right.
They were in different sides of the bracket.
Oh, my God.
Both on the field at the same time in, I guess, Russia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you would think...
Dude, you'd think.
The world is watching, right? Everyone is there.
Diego Maradona's watching.
They're watching. But you know what the world's most watched in-person match on that Saturday was in the entire fucking world, Johnny?
Oh, shit, I know.
Dude, I know you know, Nick.
What is it?
There were 71,930 people in attendance.
Yep.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia, June 30th, 2018, son. That's not even the highest attendance of the season for ACLU, dude.
Didn't they play Orlando City?
Dog. And they probably won. I don't even fucking know if they won. They probably won. 2 World Cup games simultaneously going on with the 2 biggest soccer stars of all time simultaneously. It took all that just to match and top a little bit the attendance of one Atlanta soccer team.
Wait, Johnny's face right now.
That's crazy,
that
dog.
That doesn't matter at all. Yeah, your stadium's big. That doesn't matter a damn thing.
Bro,
the average stadium is 70
They don't even
grand
open
people.
up all the seats, man. We could have more. We could have more, bro.
Tay, the average attendees for a soccer match in professional leagues are 70 grand. Especially World Cup games, besides the final stadium, like you have like the Olympic Stadium.
That's because they're stuck in Russia, bro.
Exactly. They build these in like years. You know,
they're there.
They go fast. And
people are there to watch the game. Atlanta is just a choice.
You can't have 80 plus people, 1,000 people in a stadium. That's like crazy. So
you're talking about earthquakes, man. Earthquakes are happening in Atlanta, ACLU.
Okay.
We just want to throw a shout out to our 4 official supporter clubs. We got the Footy Mob, we got Resurgent, Tournaments Legion, and the Faction. Those are our official supporter clubs, man. And ATLU all day, every day. So we got the top 4 highest attendance in all of Major League Soccer of all time, dog.
I have a really good question, Tay. Out of those players, I'm sure a lot of those players are international accounts. I'm sure a lot of people are international trade-ins, and they're from different places. If there's so many people in that team that are so good, why aren't they in Russia playing for their countries?
Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Oh, they're not, Tay, because they didn't qualify. Because they're those players from different countries.
Because they're playing for the greatest team in the world, ATLU.
ATLU, boy.
International play always comes first between clubs. That doesn't make sense, Tay. So if they're that good, why aren't they in Russia playing and qualifying?
It makes sense. 71,930 people say that this is the best team to be on the field in the world on June 30th, 2018.
I'm sure Taylor, that's only Atlanta people.
Taylor, you opened up Pandora's box, my friend.
Millions of people say this World Cup is way back.
This is pre-episode, and he's already strung out.
I care about this.
I'm telling you.
All right. Wow.
He looks like a Muppet on Sesame Street right now. He's like on his phone. He's trying.
Shout out to our supporter clubs for making us the best soccer team in the world.
You guys have a good team. You guys have a very good team. I can't think of a better team in the United States that's come up that fast, that early, and done that well. But
you shook Johnny. He shook.
Not only can you not think
just
of it,
Germany.
you're not going to be able to find it. The info
doesn't exist.
And it does exist, and it's in the form of ATLU. Simple as that.
All right, well, I can't say much. Germany lost, literally in knockout
you can't
stages.
say much.
I can't say shit.
Yeah, refute it. You can't. You can't.
But you should also be supportive of the United States. We didn't even qualify, Tay, so.
Hey, man, I recognize, hey, Dempsey's an American, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Clinton Dempsey.
Yeah, see? Boom, I know an American. Boom, son. I named Mia Hamm,
Christian
bro.
Perisic,
Mia Hamm's an American player.
Tim Howard.
Isn't Mia Hamm from Bennett Like Beckham?
She is probably in that movie, probably.
Okay.
That was like heyday Mia Hamm.
Well, Tay, I'm happy you're so stoked about. I'm just happy you're stoked about soccer. You know, that makes me happy.
Man.
But I don't want you to knock the World Cup standings. This is going to be shape out to be a really great fixture this year.
We got to have something to care about, with our Mercedes-Benz Stadium before football season starts. We got like 2 months.
Tay, you think? I'm not sure if the World Cup's coming to America in the near future. I'm pretty sure it might. I'm not positive. If
Atlanta?
It does, well, that's what I'm saying. Would you be supportive of Atlanta being taken over by a World Cup fixture?
I wouldn't mind that at all because our Atlanta supporter clubs would probably come out in mass and there'd be red and black everywhere, dude.
You got to remember, Tay, though,
Everywhere.
there's a lot of deficit that comes from a World Cup game, or World Cup standings. You have a lot of things like that grow, like stadiums, but a lot of deficit to your economy. So you got to understand, Tay, this would be great for your guys' publicity, but it would suck.
Bro, in the next 2 years, we've got the Super Bowl coming to Atlanta. It's proposed that the Olympics, we're trying to get the Olympics back here in like the next 10 years.
Oh, that's what it was.
National championships are here, man. Like, Atlanta's the spot. Come have your championship here. We'll handle that shit.
Tay, are you part of one of the supporter clubs?
I don't know nothing about soccer, Nick, but maybe I should join one. Maybe I should join one. I want to join Footy Mob. I want to join the Footy Mob.
And with that said,
oh my God,
good Lord,
Footy Mob, let me in. Come on. Dungeon
Footy
fan
Mob,
for life.
Sponsor our podcast. so something happened on Friday because it is Monday right now that we're recording this podcast.
Of course it's Monday.
Something happened on Friday. We shared on our Facebook page. We went live. We shared a live video of one Danny Coughlin, who got a special delivery from the Hybros. It was something very special, and whoever watched that, who's watched it this weekend, and asked themselves, why'd you guys send him a butt plug? And
Did
why
you say butt plug, Nick?
Yeah, I said butt plug.
He said butt plug.
Why did you send him a butt plug?
That's a good question.
With your logo on it. And you know what? I'm going to give you a very brief rundown. We got a big episode today we can't wait to dive into. But I want to give you a very quick rundown of why we sent him a butt plug. So in April, which is quite a while ago.
Very long ago.
The Hybros got an email from a company called Love Plugs. I'm only going to say it once because it is a real company and I don't want to give them publicity unless they're paying for sponsored ads.
Anyways, so Danny forged that he was...
Yeah, so Danny had this going for about a week where he said he was writing these fake emails to us saying they're interested in paying for ads. He wrote a fake ad, blah, 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 blah. And after a short time, like, we kind of caught on to it that it was Danny, but he wanted to have a face-to-face Skype chat with us and talk logistics and blah, 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 blah. And then finally he couldn't handle it because we were drawing out the FaceTime so long with this quote-unquote love plug company. It drove him mad to where he actually revealed that it was him the whole time and blah, 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 blah. It was a good spoof. It was a good riff.
He got us, good. And then you both got me and kept it going.
Yeah.
I was on a flight talking to Taylor about the logistics of a sponsor, and Taylor was like, no, dude, it can be really good. And I thought it was real for like days after you guys knew it was fake.
Yeah. So we kept it going because, we love to spoof Johnny. And it all was well. It was done. The joke was funny. We laughed it off. It was fine and dandy. And flash forward to last Friday.
Yeah, last Friday.
And we secretly found a custom branded butt plug company on Etsy.com. And we popped the Hybro logo on it. We got his address. We told Danny we were sending him some exclusive Hybro stickers.
Our first test shipment for our future subscriber box.
He believed it. He went live thinking he was doing an unboxing. And little did he know, he unboxed, yep, you guessed it, a butt plug from Hybrothetical Thinking.
He had no idea.
No idea. So, guys,
it was so funny.
It was hysterical. Now that you have context, go back, watch it, check it out. That's it. We'll post the emails, screenshots of the emails. I still have them. We'll post the emails on our Facebook page for you to read for yourself to kind of see how it all unfolded. But
so to encapsulate this, Nick, just so everyone gets this clear, your friend Danny Coughlin pranked us all saying he was a fake sponsor, and we found that out. And then months later, we sent him that exact type of sponsor package to him. He had no idea he opened it.
We turned the tables.
Exactly. That's what the whole thing is encapsulated.
Yeah,
and it was great.
This item was something that he would stick up into your rectum.
Let's just make sure that's clear.
Into your butt.
If you didn't know,
it's not a sticker.
It appeared to be a stainless steel, perhaps some type of a titanium.
It was like
it was polished to a spectacular luster. Apparently, it's reported that it is useful as a paperweight, and also if you chill it in the freezer, apparently you put it in your cocktail and it keeps your drink cool.
That's a lot,
and it won't melt.
Taylor, how often do you use these products for other things besides butts?
Taylor's he's multi-purpose.
101 ways to use a butt plug.
I don't know, man. A box of I thought I clicked one. A box of these fuckers showed up. I got 100 butt plugs. What am I gonna do with 100 butt plugs? You get pretty creative, dude.
He was so flustered, though. He couldn't say his words. He kept saying, he was Hybrothetical Thinking, a semi-importative podcast. It was so funny. At the end, he called himself a podcast. It was so funny.
You could see the look on his face when he realizes what it is.
He was shocked.
Oh, yeah. We roasted the master roaster, and that's the bottom line. So we're super excited about that, guys. Check the video out. It's super funny. But for real, though, we got some products we're going to roll out soon that are not butt plugs. We have some shirts coming.
0 butt plugs.
We have some stickers
But if you would like butt plugs, go ahead and send us an email. Let us know that is possibly what you would like in your surprise subscriber box.
I don't condone.
I'll put anything in that box that you want me to. Anything, as long as we're not crossing borders, anything can go.
Taylor will put a blood sample in there if you want it.
Hair sample.
Hair samples. The hair samples are expensive. I'm not going to lie. But blood samples are damn near free.
Your hair samples?
Yeah, Taylor doesn't want to get cloned.
There's
only one Taylor.
Yeah, there's only one. It's possible to clone. If you clone me, let me know at least.
We need his magical powers. If someone else gets a hold of him, the world will go crazy. We need his powers. We're not sharing Taylor Nelson.
We're not sharing. So before we jump into the episode, I have 2 brief disclaimers. One, I want to remind everybody of our subtext, of the subtitle of our podcast. We are a semi-informative podcast, meaning we are not going to spend multi-parts, hours and hours on something specific. We're going to give you the perfect pieces of information that you're going to need to make your own hypothetical yourself, make enough of one for ourselves, and, move on. But this is a big episode. There's tons of information that we're about to share. But like I said, we are going to share the relevant pieces of information that are needed for us to form our hypothetical. So with that being said, also, the following story contains graphic depictions of self-mutilation and discussions of a potentially falsified suicide.
Whoa.
So listener discretion is advised.
That's
balls.
I just want to preface this by saying I have had multiple people, friends and family included, saying this is from last week, this episode can touch on something a little too crazy, and they've warned me about that. All I say is I can see one exit in front of me right now, and it's behind Nick Floyd. So if the government's coming to kill me, I only have one way out of here, and I'm not going to make it out alive.
No. If anyone gets taken out after this one, it's going to be Johnny.
What?
Yeah.
Why me?
You'll find out. Taylor.
Oh my God.
No windows in that office by design. Possibly.
I don't want to die.
Oh, hey, guys. It's just one of your high bros here. I just wanted to pass along a 10% savings at futuremonsters.com. If you're into the Wolfman, if you're into Frankenstein, King Kong, Dracula, you can go to futuremonsters.com and you save yourself 10% on any of the high-quality threads. They got amazing designs on a quality fabric print. I'll tell you right now, I got one last week. It feels really good on my body. If you want to save 10%, put some stuff in your shopping cart. Enter into the coupon code. You want to enter in capital HYBRO. That's capital HYBRO. That's Hybro. Capital HYBRO. Get yourself 10% off. All right, guys, buckle up.
I'm strapped in.
I'm strapped on.
Predating Napster, Microsoft Bob, Wolfenstein, Doom. The U.S. government was already finding a strong footing in the navigation of the interwebs. In order to maintain dominance in this new virtual realm, they needed access to the most advanced programs, the dopest algorithms. In essence, they needed to crunch some big fucking numbers, right?
Okay.
So in 1979, the U.S. Department of Defense put out a contract looking for new technology that would revamp their databases and make tracking records and, records of court cases, prosecutors, lawyers involved. It would make it easier to keep up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
In comes a little company called Inslaw. That's INSLAW. Inslaw.
Like coleslaw.
Like coleslaw, but Inslaw.
Inslaw.
Not your in-laws, but Inslaw.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That was nice.
Put that on a shirt. Print it, sell it, lock it in.
Boasting a new program called Promise that is basically a new method of data mining that much resembles the way current search engines work. They win the contract. They operate at optimum level for several years, revamping the whole way the court systems is. All the info is kept in databasized. So like in the past, everything would be written files and shit, actual files. Someone has to fucking go through, just like when you used to go to maybe you guys didn't used to go to the library, have to look everything up on a fucking, I don't even know what it's called anymore, a little card. There's like a file cabinet just like full of is index cards.
Yep.
And you have to find what you're looking for. There's the index, and the index card will like tell you what shelf the book is on.
Johnny had iPhones.
Oldest shit ever,
I had
dude. It's
internet.
crazy, dog.
Johnny had robots that said, "Good evening, Mr. Jonathan Clark, who's now 11 years old. Would you like to find the nonfiction section on Inslaw?" And Johnny's like, "What's that?
What is Inslaw?
Yeah, so basically these databases, it was just a way to, it's like an Excel type sheet. It just mines data, organizes data, makes it easier to keep track of.
Okay.
Optimum level of operation for several years under this contract until slam.
Okay.
The U.S. Department of Defense, they're tired of paying. They say, you know what, fuck it, you guys aren't meeting our requirements. We're going to cut pay. So they just cut pay to this company, Inslaw, for their program called Promise, basically forcing Inslaw out of business. They had to file bankruptcy, and in the process, the U.S. Department of Defense acquires that software.
Okay.
And they proceed to use it for themselves for their own benefit. But not only are they using it for themselves, they are using it, they're leveraging it as an asset, selling it to enemy countries, selling it to the fucking terrorists, man, giving it across lines. But they're basically making tons of deals, tons of money off this shit, all the while battling the original creators and owners of this tech in court. And it was locked up in court for a long time. I don't even know if it's been settled, if the dispute's been settled, but there was a decision that was made along the road back in the 90s where Inslaw was awarded like $6.8 million, ended up getting retracted and appealed or whatever, and I don't think they got any money after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
a lot of money to come and go.
Can you nutshell that down for me in like a couple sentences so I can like really formulate it? Because I think I went on a couple different tangents there.
You just did.
No, like really, like can you condense that, Tay?
So, U.S. Department of Defense puts out a contract for a new database program. Company called Inslaw comes in, does it. They got it, operating it for a few years. All of a sudden, U.S. Department of Defense says, nope, we're tired of this. We want it, but we're not going to pay you.
Wow.
They stall payments. That company goes out of business, loses their tech. U.S. government takes it over. Boom. They own the tech now.
So
the technology was called Promise.
Okay.
It's very important.
They just took it.
Yes.
Yeah, they basically took it, yeah.
Okay.
It was,
and then they used it and sold to other countries.
Correct.
Right.
Wow. Yep. That's shady of them.
Uh-huh.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
It's
so basically,
called Promise.
the black market sale and use of this software, it spreads far and wide, touching so many branches of the U.S. government, so many branches, in fact, that this massive network has been dubbed the Octopus.
Whoa.
You know
I know the octopus.
You know what they say when you cut off an octopus's tentacle.
It has a mind of its own. It can do whatever it wants. Right?
No, Johnny. It fucking kills you.
What? What do you mean it kills me?
No. In reality, they say the saying is you cut off an octopus's tentacle, it grows two back, which is obviously not true, but that's the saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, have I guys told you about octopuses and tentacles?
Sure.
Okay, have I?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, well, octopuses have 8 tentacles, right? 7 of those have brains, right? And the 8th one is its penis.
The more you know with Johnny Clark.
Really?
Back to you,
Penis
Taylor.
is one of his tentacles.
Yep.
Okay, this podcast is not going to shift gears. We're talking about octopus penises.
So yeah, there's 8 branches, or whatever, like an octopus.
Yep.
So one of the major spiels that occurred with the black market sale of this program.
Yep.
One of the things it was used for was involved in laundering a bunch of money and ammunitions through a Indian reserve somewhere here in the U.S.
Firearms.
Yeah, ammunition and firearms for a couple of different events. But yeah, basically laundering money was like the main gist of it.
Okay.
It was involved in something called Operation October Surprise, which was the U.S. government selling this program as like a valuable asset to a country in need, and in return, they would get the delayed release of a set of U.S. hostages.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it was like
And
a trade, essentially, like a bargain.
Yeah, it was
We'll
a
give you
bargain,
this,
and the
you'll give
bargain
us our
was
hostages back.
basically hold these hostages for a little bit longer until the timing is right.
Oh.
And the timing was like right before the next presidential election.
Uh-huh.
Fucking crazy.
Wow.
Yes.
So a bunch of different things happen in the sale and just the movement of this database, the theft of this database, created this whole thing called the octopus, which is making small deals here, small deals there, laundering money here, laundering money there, all based on some illegal theft of, somebody's actual hard tech that somebody actually programmed. They made this shit themselves, and they're out of millions of dollars.
Yep.
All this is going to bring us to today's topic, which is the mysterious death of Danny Casolaro.
Casolaro.
Wait, what? Wait, who's Danny Casolaro?
Danny Casolaro was a former tech writer who...
That wasn't planned, by the way. I honestly,
You took my question. I had it written in my script to ask Taylor, tell me a little bit about Danny Casolaro.
Tell me a little bit about Danny.
Who is Carmen Sandiego?
Who's Sandy Casolaro?
Who's Carmen Sandiego? Where is Carmen Sandiego?
So this guy named Danny Casolaro, he's a former tech writer, wrote for many, many years as a writer for a weekly newsletter. He has published 3 novels, 3 books. One which is called The Ice King, very cool. Very hard to fucking find his books.
Okay.
He was divorced, had 1 son. He would later go on to purchase the tech company that he previously wrote for before selling it and becoming deeply involved in investigative journalism.
Mm-hmm.
So he gained some experience in the field during the Watergate scandal when he was able to shed some light on many important details of the case. After that scandal was over, he was looking for the next big story to unveil. He was put in contact with a family called the Hamiltons, who were the actual creators and owners of Inslaw, the creators of the Promise program. He was approached by these people because these guys, they were trying to uncover they were trying to bring to light the fact that the U.S. government has stolen this property from them, and that they're trying to shed light on all these instances that the U.S. government is using their tech to fuck shit up all around the world.
So it's a full 360. It's all come back around.
Yep.
Yeah, it all comes back to this Inslaw shit and this Promise program, which it seems like a pretty crazy program. Like, apparently, this was 1979 that the contract was put out. It was the early 80s when they fulfilled this contract with this Promise program, which, if you think about it, man, like we weren't using... Remember when you first got on the internet?
Yep.
Like, it was not easy to search for stuff. There was no searching for stuff. Like, you had to access the internet through a portal. Most people accessed it through America Online, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a search engine.
No, it was almost like there was no information online, therefore there was nothing to do with it.
Nothing to search, no reason to search. It was just people communicating via chat rooms, shit like that.
I had MSN. I had AOL.
Yeah, we had AOL. And people who were really into it and knew what the fuck they were talking about, people who knew computers, I guess, had Netscape. So I would go over to my friend's house, and he was on Netscape, and I would see this thing that looks like a current window that just you navigate through. It looks like a current browser. But it was back in the AOL days, so I was used to this big GUI interface. I would go over to my friend's house, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, this is so confusing. I don't even get it. But think about this. This That's in the late 90s when I'm describing that time. This is the early 80s where these people are developing an actual search database, like similar to Google, like a Google search base, a Yahoo search.
Way ahead of their time.
Way ahead of their time. So think about how valuable there is. Like how valuable this thing is. Our whole internet is basically based off that.
Off promise.
Yeah, that functionality. Being able to take pieces of data strung all across a database, string them together, and make them relevant, like an Excel sheet does.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's fucking crazy. So the Hamiltons filled them in on all this bullshit, how the government took their shit, how all this tech is being used. They introduced him to a few people, a few key informants. Along his investigative journeys, he met many colorful characters, shared intel with him. He actually felt like he was making major steps into breaking the case on this theorized octopus. Then theorized octopus. It's out there. It's out there. This octopus is real, man.
The octopus is
fucking an octopus with 8 dicks rolling around. So some of these informants they prove to be trustworthy. Others not so much. One of the first guys that he ran into is Michael Riconosciuto. He was one of the main players. What was that?
How do you spell that?
Irrelevant.
Okay, all right.
Riconosciuto.
Okay.
That is probably the correct pronunciation. I'm pretty good at Italian names, all right?
Riconosciuto.
Michael Riconosciuto. So Riconosciuto was a major player in Casolaro's investigation as he brought big details into the Inslaw investigation, even signing an affidavit on behalf of Inslaw supporting their case with the U.S. government. And he actually claimed that he reprogrammed Promise to repurpose it as like a way to track actual individuals.
Oh, like martial law.
Yeah, like which seemed to be kind of its purpose anyways. Like, but once you're in the system, now you're trackable. I guess this in some way was reprogrammed to track people not necessarily just in the court system, but outside of the court system. You know, they say, hey, once you're in the system, you're always in the system.
Matrix.
So it'd be like that, but yeah, the system would be, okay, you're fucking born, you're in the system, bitch.
And so this Michael guy, he claims that he made it?
Yeah, he claims he was hired by the U.S. government after it was stolen from Inslaw. He was hired by the U.S. Department of Defense to do some reprogramming of Promise.
Okay.
And his reprogramming would be more in what he's saying, like infringing on people's privacy.
Okay. Like more hacker, like more like finding out information on people specifically and being able to really, like navigate it.
Very much like post 9/11 kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right.
We lost Tay? We just lose Tay?
I think so.
Nah, I'm just joking.
Oh man! I thought we lost you.
I was just joking.
Holy shit!
I was pretty fucking. I was just fucking with you.
Holy shit!
Oh,
what the fuck?
I swear to God, we lost you or you got killed.
Oh my God!
So another one of these fucking colorful people introduced to Danny, actually by the Hamiltons themselves, which is a very weird connection, is Robert Booth Nichols.
Robert Booth Nichols.
Yeah, it's really hard to find information on who this guy was as a person outside of his involvement with his investigation, but he's apparently a successful businessman of some sort, which the research describes him as having no obvious source of income. It's like just some guy who's apparently successful. Authorities don't know fucking why. That's shady in itself, correct?
Yeah.
They said he was like the report said he was like James Bond. Like, that's what
undercover stuff.
He was an international businessman who was like James Bond. No one knew shit about this guy.
I think that's the point, though. I think a lot of times when, like in Bohemian Grove, like when people are at a high enough caliber where they can like control the fucking world, they are off the grid.
You got it, man. You can't be like, oh, I have a family. I'm at this house, this location. This is where I went to school. Yeah, you have to be off the grid, unknown. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Where's he going? No one knows. He wasn't
a Russian
even
spy.
here.
Yeah. He's the pinnacle. He's like the definition of off the grid, this guy.
Yeah.
This Nichols guy.
And he proved to be one of the main sources for some of the heavy-hitting information and is possibly one of the final people to see Mr. Casolaro alive.
Oh.
Yep.
And I say one of the last people to see him alive because on August 10th, 1991, a body was found in the bathtub of room 517 at a local hotel room in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
517?
517. Now, the body reportedly discovered by a maid, who then got another maid, who then got their supervisor, who then got the manager, who then witnessed Danny Casolaro dead in a pool of his blood in the bathtub.
Well, by the time they went to all these people, I'm sure he was completely drained of all blood.
Right? Yeah, completely dead as fuck. That was one of the weird things in the investigation,
dead
dude.
as fuck.
Yeah, like reading through all the different reports, all the research about like the account of the body being found, there was so many different combinations of people that apparently saw this fucking thing. That like, who's got the fucking story, man? Who's got the real goddamn story? You know, there's this chain of command of people who saw it or didn't see it. It's weird. Apparently, none of these people in the chain of command actually saw the body except for the last person who went in.
Wait, but what about the maid? How did she...
Right? Yeah, apparently each person in this line, like, they open the door, they see some blood, they fucking scream and run. Next person opens the door, sees blood, screams and runs. Nobody looks at the body until the manager gets in there.
No. That doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like the human instinct to find out, well, what is that? Why does that smell? All that stuff. Like you got to look at...
Find the source, right?
What really happened, I think what happened is that, let's say, maid 1 and 2 saw it, freaked out, and they told other people and said, I didn't see anything. You know, I didn't see anything. I didn't know. But they actually did. And then all the way up to the chain of command, all the people don't have the balls to say it. And then the final person's like, all right, I'll fucking take the hit. I saw it. I know all this stuff.
I'll say what I saw.
It didn't look like a murder, though. This looked like
what's so fucking weird about it.
Suicide?
It was a suicide.
Yeah, so...
wait.
According to the reports, this was a suicide.
You're saying a loss of blood suicide?
That's
a slow way to do it.
So there were
sucks.
somewhere around 12 to 14 slashes in his arms, in his wrists, from razor blades that were actually found on the scene. Now, I say it's somewhere between 12 and 14 because the official report says one thing, other reports say another thing, other people say this, the coroner says this. Like, the numbers are all over the place. So it's somewhere between 12 and 14 slashes, most of which were just, pretty damaging cuts, 2 of which were insanely deep. One on one of his wrists was so deep that it nearly touched a tendon. And another one on his other wrist was so deep, it cut a motherfucking tendon, dude.
I was about to say that it had to be because, I don't want to sound gruesome, but like, unless you hit a major artery, I don't think you can die from loss of blood from your arms. I don't think.
What? Well, that's one of the weird things about it, man. They say there's a right and a wrong way to do it.
There is, technically, across the river, down the stream. There's different...
Well, paramedics who were there said that it is near impossible to cut your own tendon. It's
it really?
Yeah.
Is that hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are very hard little straps, man.
Oh, yeah. I would say it would be hard for your brain to wrap that around and actually do it, It's hard for me to even, slap myself before a performance, be like, Johnny, get in character, I can't even do that, let alone break your own tendon, cut your own tendon.
Yeah, not only that, but get very close on one, and then using that same hand,
have the
energy and strength to do it to the other arm.
You're already losing blood. It's already messy.
With a very small razor blade.
Very small razor blade.
It almost seems like it was like somebody did this to him and then cut it themselves.
Yeah, one thing that the coroner actually described as well, which is weird, that I guess in a suicide like this, there are like test cuts, test marks, like marks that aren't surefire cuts. You know what I mean? Like testing the waters to see if they can handle it. Apparently, all these cuts were surefire business cuts. You know what I mean?
Like preemptively, like there was no going
directed.
Directed. They were going full force, full time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, so okay, so these people found him in his own blood. There's actually a short film about this. It's pretty crazy if you've seen it. I think it's called like The Babysitter or something. It's a really cool like meta thing. And you're saying these people found this guy dead in the bathtub, full of his own blood, and there was no like struggle. There was no like pills. There was no bruising on his neck. There was nothing that showed a sign of struggle.
Couple things. Let me paint the picture of the scene here for you. So aside from the slashes on his wrist, the bathtub full of blood, there was a bloody towel pushed under the sink as if it were to wipe up some blood and then just kind of haphazardly pushed up against the sink.
Off of your hands or off of somebody else's face or something?
Hard to tell. No one knows. Yeah. Possibly just blood on the floor. Maybe he, was standing up when he decided to do this. He cut his wrists and blood hit the floor. For some reason, decided to wipe it up with his feet before kicking it under the sink and then getting into the tub to finish it off. You know, who knows? That's weird. Another item that was found on the tub was a glass ashtray that was from the hotel itself. He was a non-smoker. Weird. What was he doing there? Beside the tub, a half-empty bottle of wine. I believe a broken glass from a cup. 2 plastic bags and 2 shoelaces. Riddle the scene.
This wasn't a suicide. This was a murder.
It's very confusing. There are a lot of signs that point to suicide, a lot that point to murder. One of the odd things, there was a note laying on the bed.
Well, okay, was it a suicide note?
Suicide note. Quote, "To my loved ones, please forgive me, most especially my son, and be understanding. God will let me in."
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but like that's murder. If I were to, this sounds crazy, but if I were to murder somebody, if I were to murder this Danny dude, right? Danny Casolaro.
Danny Casolaro.
Casolaro. Sorry about that.
Remember the name.
If I were to murder him, of course I would not only make it look like a suicide, but I'd write a note. I would make it look like he did it.
Right.
Well, it turns out there actually he had one single thumbprint was found on this note. It was his own, Danny Casolaro's. And this paper was, I believe, paper from the hotel itself.
Okay.
So it was like the pad that was on there.
Okay.
Very odd. Another odd thing about this whole process is that once the cops were called, cops came to the scene, they checked it all out, they declared a suicide right off the bat, right? They let the body go to the coroner's office, the morgue.
Yeah.
They essentially released the body to be processed immediately that day.
Of course.
So the body is embalmed that day. Boomed. What's odd about that is the family wasn't notified until almost 3 days later. 2 days later,
After
the
the
following
embalming.
Monday. Yeah. After it was embalmed, days after it was embalmed, the family was notified. Said,
Dude was dead?
Dude is dead.
Wow.
This is where the body is at.
Wait.
The family's like, what the fuck? My
calls the
brother's
shots?
dead. No one told us.
Yeah,
The body's embalmed.
Isn't there a whole process that's like, all right, well, my brother or my son or my, whatever is, my boyfriend's dead.
Yeah.
We want him to be checked for suicide because that's a privacy invasion. Like, what if they don't want to see if it's suicide? What if they wanted to assume that it was? So why would they just do this without us asking?
And not everybody wants to be embalmed. Some people would like to be cremated without being embalmed.
100%.
Yep. And when you embalm someone, you, correct me if I'm wrong, drain all of the fluids from their body?
That's
a lot
exactly
of the
what
crime scene
happens.
evidence
All the
goes
blood
away.
is gone. The blood is gone. Most of the fluids are gone.
Almost everything's gone.
Yeah, a lot of trace evidence is just fucking gone. But what's
that's
weird
gone.
about this is that the coroner says straight up, oh, this is a suicide. Describes all the cuts as we just described. They're a cut on each side that are so incredibly deep, it's hard to explain how someone could do this by themselves. Describes his fingernails as being gnawed on or like chewed or whatever. But other reports describe them as like ripped out, like he was scraping on something, like trying to fucking get away. Not only that, it was described that he had bruises on the top of his head. Not in every report, but something to gnaw on. It is then said, so the brother of Casolaro demands an autopsy, even post-embalming. He's like, no, this is fucking bullshit. Autopsy that motherfucker right now. We're getting to the bottom of this. Why would he say something like this? A week prior to the day he was killed, Danny Casolaro met with his brother, who is actually a doctor, a very reputable source, stand-up citizen. Meets with his brother, tells him, talking to him about the investigation. He'd been doing this investigation for over a year at this point, almost 2 years. So he was involved. It consumed Danny's life. It was all Danny was doing. So he talked to his family about it. His family was very informed about it. He goes to his brother. He says, man, I'm going to meet with this guy in a week. I think this is the info I'm looking for. This is what's going to crack the case. It's going to break this motherfucker wide open. And then he says to his brother, I've been getting death threats. People have been calling me, telling me they're going to kill me. This person, Nichols, that we mentioned, even told Casolaro, hey, man, if you continue with this investigation, you're going to be dead. Not necessarily a death threat from him, but, hey, if someone's going to kill you. You're digging too deep. You're too close. Get the fuck out while you can. He tells his brother a week before his death date, hey, man, if I don't come back from this meeting, don't think it was an accident.
Whoa.
Right?
Yep.
That's
fucking crazy, dude.
That's plausible enough to say that, of course, it could not have been a suicide. He literally said...
said this, yeah.
So I would say brothers and family especially know... this is maybe oversimplifying because I know my family very well, but like friends and family like you guys know about the mentality state of your friends and family better than anybody, better than like a doctor can, or, like, because you know them, you experience them, sort of like a psychiatrist.
It's funny you say that. His brother-in-law, Danny's brother-in-law, happens to be a psychiatrist.
So yeah.
And provided one of the 2 postmortem evaluations of Danny. One of them, the other evaluation, citing all these different things going on in Danny's life. Oh, he's trying to publish books. They're not getting published. Big mortgage payment, a lot of debt, blah, 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 blah. He's divorced, blah, 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 blah. So he gives them an evaluation that indicates suicide is highly likely. His brother-in-law, on the other hand, gives this evaluation saying how wonderful Danny is, how uplifting he always is. He's in such a good mood. He's a people person. He's got so many friends.
Well, if I could play devil's advocate for a second, suicide being a light and or a dark and heavy topic, I find it hard to believe that any one opinion can be substantial in saying whether it could have or could not have been.
Right.
Because, from a psychiatrist to a brother to a family member to a relationship, it's hard to really know someone's psyche. Like, you got Robin Williams or whatever. Like somebody that or Jim Carrey, who obviously is still with us, but they have a character that is so light and frothy and heartfelt, like you're talking about Danny is to some people. But to other people, they might see that demon inside, and therefore they can just write it out as suicide. But I don't think that's conclusive. I don't think, because let's say it was murder. They would have, if it was murder, the premeditative thought would have been any little thing that we can make it look like it was a murder or was a suicide. We're going to capitalize as much as possible. Oh, this guy was dumped in the 3rd grade. Let's use it. Oh,
exactly.
His cat died. Let's use it.
Exactly.
Well, that's the biggest thing is that, Taylor mentioned 2 sources, Michael Rancanchudo and Robert Booth Nichols. But what made this crazy and where the whole murder aspect comes in is there was also a 3rd, and his name was Peter Vendenkis or whatever.
Tankus.
And Rancanchudo, that affidavit that Vendenkis signed, Rancanchudo signed with Vendenkis, and I'm going to say the name wrong every time. Vidic. Rancanchudo got arrested right after, and Peter Vendenkis was immediately seen as Casolaro as someone who could not be fucked with, and that's when Casolaro found Robert Booth Nichols and was like, whoa, this Vendenkis guy he used to work for the U.S. Justice Department. Casolaro's like, all right, these people I'm getting, these sources are crazy people. Vendenkis definitely locked Rancanchudo up.
Yeah.
I'm in some deep shit. And this was at the beginning of all this. And Nichols was just as crazy as anybody else. So Casolaro already saw this sort of stabbing in the back and these sources sort of taking each other out at the beginning of all this. So Casolaro knew, and the only signs Casolaro was showing that would have led to a suicide was his obsession, similar to how obsessed one of the investigators, I'm not sure what the newspaper is, but when they were doing the report on the Zodiac killer, there was a reporter who became obsessed, insane because he became obsessed with the case. And that's the only negative sign that Casolaro was showing was his obsession with the case, his lack of sleep, his constant go, all that. I mean, Taylor will give a few more pieces of information about what he did on in his final moments on his last day, where he ate and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really point at depression. It doesn't point at that. It points at obsession to the point where everything's relying on this. I mean, Casolaro had debt. Casolaro was borrowing money to survive. He wasn't getting paid for the 2 years he was investigating this case.
Right, big investments. And not only that, though, people were behind him. He even had a guy close to, I think the guy who introduced him to the case itself was willing to back him financially. So, he had people on his side, and there was a way to keep going. It wasn't the end of the road for him, you know what I mean? He really felt like he was breaking his case.
So you're saying that he was this close, he had people behind him, and either if he failed, he'll be letting all them down, or you're saying that they were with him regardless. What are you saying?
And one of the shitty things about this Vidic character is it totally contracts with Rancanchudo, whatever the fuck it is. He seemed to be a reputable source. He seemed to know what he was talking about. He was willing to testify. He did testify. But then Vidic slams him into prison for a drug charge like making him instantly incredible, like a not credible source anymore. I think Casolaro stuck by him, even visited him in jail a few times, trying to keep up with the intel until he eventually just distrusted him as well. So there did come a point where it was like, well, shit, all this shit I got from Riconosciuto could be bullshit. Is Riconosciuto bullshitting? Is Nichols bullshitting? Is V-Dick bullshitting? Who's the bullshitter? Got to sift through this bullshit. But one thing that is definitely fucking crazy bullshit is the official report of this death, this murder-suicide. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. There are after Casolaro's brother demands this autopsy, right? They do an autopsy. Somehow they're able to determine that he had Valium in his system and a small amount of alcohol. All his blood's gone, but they're able to somehow tell that he had Valium. Trace amounts, very small amounts of Valium. What they indicate is not enough to, like, kill someone, even with the combination of alcohol that he drank.
Okay.
And the alcohol that he was drinking was just some wine that was...
Some white wine, yeah.
Just some white wine. It was from a specific brand that he brought from home. Kind of weird. One of the craziest parts of this fucking thing was at his funeral. Near the end of his funeral, black limo pulls up. Dude pops out of the limo. It's a military guy. Highly decorated military official, possibly general of some sort, whatever he is. Comes up, places a medal onto the casket.
Whoa.
Dips out. No one at the funeral knows who this motherfucker is. They're like,
it's random metal.
What the fuck is going on? Some high-ranking official from the government just came and popped a medal on this grave.
That's not
and just
normal.
Dipped out. Yeah, not normal at all. But the craziest thing about this is the official account. It tells time and date of like where he was these last 3 days, and he was at this hotel meeting his intel, possibly with Nichols, possibly with other people. But what's weird is there's a lot of details, like specific details about when and where Casolaro was, near his time of death. Specific details about the way the crime scene looked, all these items on the crime scene, in the crime scene, types of wine, the razors, the shoelaces, all this different shit, where they came from. The shoelaces came from Casolaro's house, 2 different shoes. The bags were bought in town near the hotel. The razor blades purchased in Casolaro's hometown. So like all these items were apparently proven to exist, be in the room, blah, 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 blah. But our friend Nick here is going to shine some light on some new fucking info that ain't nobody ever heard before.
Okay.
This is where things get real crazy. And this is where everyone needs to strap in.
Strap the fuck in, y'all.
Because we have given as much information as you need. There's tons of stuff. The case is online. It's a public case. You guys can read all about it. You can find out, yes, he was meeting with multiple sources at the hotel when he was there, when he checked in. Yes, his last meal was at Pizza Hut. Yes, he talked to one of his neighbors about meeting one final person, and then him finding his neighbor again at the hotel in room 519.
17.
So he was in 517. The room next to him was 519.
Okay.
And it was a guy named Mike Looney, and he talked to that guy. Saw him at one point and said, I'm here to meet a big, I'm trying to bust the story open. It's going to be big. Saw Mike Looney again after he went to Pizza Hut and seemed down because the person he was meeting apparently called it off. But they say Casolaro met with multiple people at the hotel. If it wasn't just Nichols and one other person, there might have been multiple involved. So with all that being said, I'm here with some new evidence.
All right.
Some brand new evidence.
Never before heard.
Never before heard.
Heard?
That's going to bring a brand new perspective to the story.
Okay.
So after a tip from one of our listeners via email, which is fucking crazy that led us to do this entire story, we managed to connect with and interview a source who was among the first to discover the corpse of a Mr. Danny Casolaro.
Oh, was it one of the, like a maid? Okay.
This is the first time this person has spoken out about this particular case, so for obvious reasons, the source would like to remain completely anonymous.
Okay.
The following are a handful of quotes from the interview. It was a 30-minute interview I had with the person.
Okay.
That we hope will shed new light on this case and provide truth to what appears to be a lot of falsified information. So I'm going to read a handful of quotes that are going to sort of set the scene straight for how it was viewed. And then I'm going to get to the end where I'm going to give some brand new information that's going to change the fucking game of this whole entire case.
All right.
So, quote, it's important to note that Casolaro was a walk-in at the Sheraton. He checked in at 11:48 a.m. on August 8th. There was no reservation. However, Casolaro was a repeat customer as he'd been at the hotel 6 months before his death.
So what do you mean 6 months?
Okay.
6 months before.
Just once? Or he had been there every single...
He'd been at the hotel. No, he just
so
came
he
to the hotel
probably met somebody
one time.
here for intel in the past.
Yep.
Okay. MBD.
Another quote. After reviewing and seeing some of the films and television shows about the case, there's a lot of contradictions, especially in the reenactments. First of all, to set the record straight, it was indeed room 517 at the Sheraton Martinsburg Inn. It did happen on a Saturday at around 12:30 in the afternoon. Now, end quote there. According to the Unsolved Mysteries episode that aired, there was a lot of blocking issues in the room of, where the maid saw blood, this and that, blah, 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 blah. You can find the Unsolved Mysteries. So this next quote is actually setting the record straight for that episode of the reenactment.
Okay.
So, quote, the housekeeper walked into the room. The bathroom was on her left. She looked to the left, saw a pool of blood about 12 inches in diameter on the bathroom floor, and immediately backed out of the room, end quote.
Okay.
So that's how that played out.
Yeah. That's what you guys described earlier.
Exactly.
She saw the blood.
In
left.
the reenactments, though, that they've done online and films and TV,
okay.
That hasn't
It's
been
correct. Blurry. It's been okay.
All right. Quote, so this is a quote about when this person first saw the body.
Okay.
Quote, I saw the blood in front of the vanity in the toilet, but none on the carpet, which is also falsified
It was blurry. Okay. Yeah. There was no blood on the carpets?
No blood on the carpets, only in front of the toilet and the vanity.
Okay.
I pushed the door open to reveal Casolaro in the bathtub, dead. He obviously bled to death because he had multiple slashes on his left and right wrist. What most people are saying is that he had 12 slashes total, 8 on one wrist and 4 on the other. But I saw 7 on one wrist and 6 on the other. There was no disturbance in the room. Nothing was out of order.
It's 13.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing in the room was in disarray. While some reports stated that pill bottles and alcohol bottles were seen in the room, they were nowhere in sight. The bedspread didn't even have a wrinkle in it or on it, as if he wasn't even sleeping. He was just staying up. He was at the hotel for 3 days.
Wow.
So not a single bottle of wine on the floor?
Was there a shoelace? Was there the broken glass? Was there the ashtray?
I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry.
Quote, the room was not cleaned until 2 days after it happened. The coroner's office did take the body away that same day. All that was known at the time was that his name was Danny Casolaro from Fairfax, Virginia. It was very apparent at the time to be a suicide, but it wasn't until everything hit the news that everything completely was changing. Everything was changing. We all thought that maybe this wasn't a suicide after all. Martinsburg, West Virginia was a bedroom community of Washington, D.C. If anything political were to happen, it would happen in Martinsburg. It was a very political town because a large number of doctors and lawyers lived there and took the train to work. Because all the houses in Washington, D.C. were double what they cost in Martinsburg, Virginia.
Okay.
So this is where it got interesting because a lot of questions came from the locks. This is 1991. What were the locks like? So this next quote is about the locks in the specific room.
Locks?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how we have key locks, keyless entry, all that now. Quote, computer card door locks had just come out, but Sheraton did not have in their operation policy to use the card locks yet. It was still so brand new.
Yeah. The electronic magnet things?
Yeah.
Okay.
The keys used were brass keys, a thumb turn lock, and a chain lock that could be engaged or disengaged however you see fit. Similar to what's in motels.
Yeah.
Those type of door locks could be opened with something as easily as a credit card. As long as the chain lock wasn't engaged, it could be opened with ease. So for someone to break in, wouldn't be complicated. Casolaro only had the thumb turn lock engaged. He did not have the chain lock and the bolt lock engaged.
Well, what was left? So this anonymous source is saying that when he was found, that was the only thing that was engaged. So if it was a murder, the only thing that the murderer left
all the murderer would have to do if someone did break into the room was just pop a credit card in the door.
But when they left,
Undisturbed.
though, they
Just flip the
just the
thumb
thumb.
lock and then walk out.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So these next couple quotes are regarding these last two quotes are regarding the police investigation. Quote, when the police ask questions, they only ask questions to a handful of people involved at the hotel. At the time, they didn't question neighbors. They didn't question about the key control system, about previous room occupants, and the people they did question, the questions were not thorough at all.
They were almost like they didn't want to know.
Yes.
It was like,
The next
guy
day-
killed himself. Oh, well.
Exactly.
Case closed.
They didn't
Case
want an
closed.
ulterior or anything. They didn't want to find reasons to believe it was anything ulterior than a murder.
Yeah,
or
which is weird,
than
'cause
a suicide.
Normally in like a TV cop show, it's something innocent and they blow it out of proportion. Like, I'm getting to the bottom of this.
Yeah, well, they have all these dumb jobs. It's like in any in oh my gosh, with the
21 Jump Street?
21 Jump Street. Yeah. Where like they
Boom. Add
want
that to
shit
the
to do. It's like exactly. They want shit to do that they're so bored and like the I can't think of movies right now. My mind's being blown. And so they want to have shit to do, but they're almost like being
In and
dumb.
out.
What?
In and out.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like
They
in
don't
and
want
out.
a part of it.
Right. So
Lazy.
So all that wrapped up in a day, which is nuts. Like in a day. The next day, 2 Suburbans were seen at the hotel. The agents were wearing all black and sunglasses. They came in a back entrance, remained quiet, went to the 5th floor, were there for a little bit, and then left.
Weird.
That's it. That's it.
That's really creepy.
Now, this is where things start getting crazy. So, Johnny, if you want to grab a pen, this is the time that we are going to start kind of taking this case apart.
Let it be known to all of our listeners, I actually have filled up a whole page for the first time in an episode. I usually will get like about, halfway through be done. I'm trying to find more room on this page so we can write, so I might go to a new page.
Are you
All right,
talking
go to
a
new
page
page.
full of doodles or notes?
No, notes. Taylor, I've been writing down almost all your... I can't doodle with the shit. I've been writing down everything you've been saying, and I'm flabbergasted. All right, Nick,
All right, this is where
hit me
things
with
change.
some of this cold shit.
So, a lot of reports state the long amounts of time Casolaro spent at Heatherfield's lounge in the Sheraton Hotel. And according to a series of unreleased documents given to us on the case, it states that at 6 p.m. on August 8th, Danny was at Heatherfield's lounge in the Sheraton Hotel, and he purchased 2 imported bottles of beer and 5 draft beers. That was at 6 p.m., 2 days before he was found dead. That was the first day that he had checked into the hotel on August 8th.
Mm-hmm.
If other reports are stating 2 bottles of wine were found at the scene of the crime in his room, why wasn't there a single glass of wine sold to Casolaro at Heatherfield's lounge? Was he meeting with 2 specific people over drinks 2 days before his
Didn't
death?
it say that he brought the wine from home?
He did.
He
2
did
bottles.
bring the wine from home. Yeah, apparently he was very specific about his wine. So he brought some from home. So I don't know. Like at that sitting, maybe it's like, okay, that bar doesn't have this specific wine, so I'm going to drink beer. But, to switch beers, it definitely seems like he's meeting with somebody at this meeting, right? At this time.
Yeah, 2 imported beers, 5 draft beers.
Okay.
Okay.
2 Edelweiss beers.
Hey, okay.
5 Budweisers.
Edelweiss, Taylor. Edelweiss.
Now, these next few details were simply answered as a yes or no question, so I am going to read them as such, which means I will read my question.
Okay.
And I will respond with the answer from our anonymous source.
You have a different inflection, like, I'm Nick and blah, blah, blah. And
Sure, I'll read it like a Sesame Street character.
Okay.
So I asked, first and foremost, according to several police reports we found on the case, they state that a suicide note was found. But in the reports that were sent over to us, it was never once mentioned a suicide note was found. Was there one indeed present? To which our anonymous source responded, no.
Get the fuck out of here.
There wasn't a suicide note?
Nope.
No suicide note on the scene, yet
it was
there are
the
pictures
fingerprint
of this fucking supposed note online. And
well,
it's
then it
all
has
over
to be
the reports.
staged. It has to be staged.
Hang on. I then asked, also, reports stated a box of razor blades were found next to the note. Were those present? To which my source answered, no.
What the fuck?
Yeah, not only do they report a box being found, but they report being able to decipher where they were fucking purchased.
Yes.
Like,
So wait,
what?
there were these things that were put there like plugs. No pun intended. There were these things that were put there and like on purpose, and they weren't actually there.
Yeah, if they indeed existed, they had to have been placed there after the initial finding of the body.
That's 100% contamination of a crime scene. That's totally like disturbing it and altering its legitimacy.
And we'll give our own thoughts. We'll when we wrap this up, because when we wrap it up, we'll take some time. We'll give our own hypothetical of what we feel happened.
Hybrothetical, if you will.
Hybrothetical thinking.
Finally, I got into the bathroom and what was found there. So I asked, reports state that a half-drank bottle of wine was found on the floor close to Casolaro's hand. Is this true? To which my source responded, no, I did not see a bottle of wine.
So, was it he there? Was Danny in the?
Yeah, was there a fucking body?
Was there a body?
Was there even a body?
Come on, if there's not, so you're saying all these
this is
facts,
actually a Best Western.
It was the Best Western Hotel.
It was actually Mexico
in Wyoming.
So all these crime scene evidence things that have been found or were found technically were never even there. Why the fuck were they even said there?
Yeah, all these things have been published too, so many multiple times, like documentaries, an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, all kinds of publications.
And
are reporting this shit.
At a certain point, like the false information becomes like true information. It gets validity because of how many times it's been, like the telephoned.
Yeah, and like I said, while this source, like I trust source, everything is great. This is still a perspective. Like this is a perspective of the case. It's like a game of telephone. Okay, multiple people can see one thing and they tell another. So, saying all this, there is validity to it. I believe it 100%.
Yeah, I can see the conviction in your eyes.
Like anything, it's to be taken with a grain of salt because this was almost 30 years ago.
Okay, so they might have. Oh, I'll say with my own conviction, if there was a dead body in a room, I wouldn't even know what day of the week it was. I would be so shocked. I don't know if it was wine, if it was a shoelace, if there was a key card. The only thing in my mind is a dead corpse, and that's all that I would have seen.
That's what you'd see. Like that would be in your mind.
That's the only thing that matters.
I would like to think that if I spotted a dead body or whatever, and it wasn't imminent danger, like I got to look out because I'm about to die.
You take everything into consideration, but your fight or flight response.
Yeah, who knows what would actually happen? But yeah, I'd like to think that I would be very observant.
Yes. And there is, and once I do finish this up, like there is a piece I can say that there is validity to this that I have as proof.
You're saying this anonymous source isn't saying I don't know. They're saying no.
It's firm answers.
You're saying for a fact.
It
this
wasn't
is what
there.
This person saw.
Yes. So the last two things I asked, what about the broken glass stated in the report? Other conflicting reports state that the broken glass was in the bathroom. Is this correct? To which the source responded, no, the broken glass was in the hotel room itself. It was not in the bathroom.
So there was a struggle, but not, and then they staged it.
Maybe. I mean, it looked like a clean room apparently, but just a broken wine bottle. Just a broken wine bottle.
Which I've done that. Something crazy. I'm obviously not dead.
So last but not least, this is a piece I actually had to reconnect with our source about because once Taylor and I were talking, this was a big piece. There's a lot of theories that mention a towel seen on the floor with blood on it tucked underneath the vanity. I asked the source, did they see this towel? It's a very small bathroom. This is a hotel room bathroom.
Yeah,
we like the three of us travel a lot.
Whenever we stay in bathrooms together, when we sleep in the bathroom together, we always tell us
we stay in big bathrooms.
So I asked, did you see this specific towel
with blood on it?
To which the source responded, no, I did not see a towel.
Oh,
Can I get a hell no?
Hell no!
So while these specific things might seem like smaller pieces of the case that might not change a lot, these are clear-cut discrepancies that led us to believe there might be some fabrication. So, and with this, in the unreleased documents that we had sent over to us, in that is a report to what was seen, because I don't know if you guys know about a crime scene, know how it works. If you're a witness or see anything or whatever, even if you're a police officer, that show up to the crime scene first. So if someone calls you, you're 911, and someone takes over, which the FBI was involved, because this is a big case. It was a dead body with papers in the room and things like that.
If you're the first person or any of the people that aren't,
you have to give a report.
Yeah,
and in that report, you state the things you saw that are directly related to the case.
Yeah, everything.
If you saw a suicide note, B, a bottle of wine, C, a towel with blood on it, D, a pack of razor blades.
Yeah.
If you saw any of those things, you would write them down. And I have this unreleased document that says, A, found a broken glass in the room. B, sheets were this color. C, pillows were this. D, this, blah, 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 blah. Anyone in their right mind would say, razor blades, a suicide note at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
100%. I have that. Like, it's there.
Okay.
So to say that those things weren't there is
crazy.
And it's not like there's a pile of other eyewitness reports.
And those are specific things. Like to see specifically a thing of razor blades, to see specifically a broken glass or the bloody towel. It's not like oh yeah, that was Dove soap with blood on it. No, it was actually like Neutrogena. No, it was a specific wine. It was specific razor blades, which you don't find in the average a box of razor blades.
Right.
There has to be a premeditated thought or like has to have been in your brain. You had to think of it specifically to put it there.
Yeah, it's and as an investigation, I mean, this is the 90s. This was after Watergate. Like, scandals were happening. Like this is a crazy time. I can't wrap my head around the fact that when you investigate a crime scene, which whether it is suicide, whether it is a murder, whatever it is, until you have everything covered, if you find out, like in the room, they did retrieve documents. It was like a couple folders, a couple journals, things like that.
Sure.
Because there's a whole theory that says that Casolaro, I mean, it's not a theory. It's said from people that spoke later in the case that Casolaro carried a brown briefcase around with him. That briefcase was brought with him to Martinsburg, Virginia.
Like all of his
West
notes,
Virginia.
all of his papers for the
Every
entire
2 years,
investigation.
The important stuff that he's been
he carries it with him.
Yeah, he's got to have this to operate his work. This is what he's doing.
They retrieved from the room, and you can find these archive files. Our listeners can do the investigation themselves, but all people could find online that they found, quote unquote, in the room were a couple folders, journals with notes and phone numbers and names scribbled down in them, but they didn't find anything definitive that was going to blow anything open.
And that was the whole reason he was there.
That suitcase was gone. Someone took the suitcase.
Took all the info and everything related.
He went to Martinsburg, West Virginia to end this thing once and for all, to blow it open. That's what he went there for.
And someone ended him once and for all and
someone
took the evidence.
Yes.
Keep in mind, he told his brother that he had been recently threatened. And not only that, Nichols himself told him, yo, dude, you're going to fucking die, bro.
Dude, that's cause enough to assume that it's murder.
Assume that it's murder, yeah. And the cops should be, you should be thinking when someone's dying, you should always just look into murder, right? I don't know. If I was a cop, I would.
You can't rule it out at all.
If you see that, you're like, it was very clear he was doing something, he was investigating something. As a cop, you look at that, even
right, that basic point.
If you open the journal,
someone's got a motive,
Yeah. I looked through the journal last night, 200 pages of it. I skimmed through it, and it's just a lot of jargon and scribbles, and promise is written over and over again, like PROMIS, like written over and over again. There are, names, there are things, there's words like hitman, there's words like illegal arms trade, there's words like foreign exchange. They're written all in this journal. If as a cop, if you open this up and you look at it for 5 fucking seconds, that this might be worth investigation. But no, they didn't interview Looney, who was in the room next to him. They didn't interview anyone in the surrounding areas. It wasn't later they did.
To hear like a struggle, to hear cries or screams or anything like that.
Right. Like later they did. Like later they interviewed Looney. Later they got a report that Casolaro went to Pizza Hut, and when he was at Pizza Hut, he looked the waitress in the eye, and he quoted The Great Gatsby to her because he was kind of a ladies' man. He met with Nichols. He met with specific people. But the idea that the last known sighting was from Mike Looney in room 519, and he met Casolaro before Casolaro went to dinner at Pizza Hut alone. Casolaro said, "I'm about to bust this open." Casolaro shows back up to the room. Mike Looney is just also outside of the room to see
just hanging,
Casolaro.
smoking, it's put out the vibe.
Saying it's him.
Just hanging out. And Casolaro looks bummed out. Looney's like, "Is everything okay?" Casolaro says, "Ah, man, my source blew me off." That's the last thing Casolaro says.
Dude, yeah. Like, me and Nick were talking about this earlier. Like, all the reports of Casolaro's, like, attitude and actions, you know, from, like, the bartender and people at the hotel was like, oh, dude, seemed like a kind guy. He was upbeat, hitting on the bartender, hitting on a couple waitresses, hitting on some ladies.
Guy.
Like, yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's just his demeanor, you know, maintain relationships with all his ex-girlfriends, his ex-wife, like best friends for life kind of thing. Apparently, this guy's just a really good guy, strike up a conversation with anyone. What's really fucking odd is that, let's say you're an investigator and you really think that you're about to break open this insane case. I wouldn't be blabbering about it to everybody.
It's true.
Right.
Why would he be talking to this loony guy about it? And further than that, if you were one of these intel guys who was about to meet up with Danny Casolaro, and you're like, all right, I'm about to give this guy some intel, or, you know, you're just privy to the fact that this guy's on the hunt, why wouldn't you send your own intel? Like, let's say you're the bad guy that he's trying to find out. Why not send your own intel guy in there, talk to Danny a little bit, see what he's got? Maybe that's what Looney was.
Throw him off.
Maybe Looney was essentially a spy from the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
Which from our source, seeing that hang on one second, I can tell you. Let me pull up some documents here. Seeing that from our source that Casolaro was a walk-in, so he was indeed a walk-in. He checked into the hotel, so you know him having the room was, you know, the odds of Looney being next to him. See, I don't know when exactly
Looney checked
in. I don't have it. I don't know when he checked in. That would be great to know. I just know that he was in room 519. For all we know, it could have been coincidental that Looney was at the hotel to follow and watch Casolaro. And it just so happened, coincidentally, that the rooms were next to each other.
Luckily got the
To me, that would seem almost too coincidental. If I was Looney and I was like trying to be covert and not make it seem like I was a murderer, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that room. Right. That way I wouldn't be questioned at all after the fact. Yeah. Because I'm sure they didn't interview every single person in the hotel.
No, they didn't.
Right. Yeah, it seems like they didn't do fucking anything, man. They did very little. It's possible, a lot of the signs of this case, aside from, it might be two things at the same time. A, there is a cover-up actually happened, like he was murdered to cover up the cover-up, you know? And on the other hand, it could just be, whether it was a suicide or a murder, just very poor work on the cops in West Virginia. Just very poor work.
And it was a small town, but, you know, Taylor, Johnny, if I may, I have two theories.
Okay.
I have two.
Theorize away.
I have two specific, we'll call them hypotheticals.
Okay.
In all my research, because I myself have become obsessed with this case, Taylor knows I have lost sleep over it. I have been digging. It's so fascinating to me.
Nick, the last time I heard someone was obsessed with this case, they died, so watch out.
I know.
Yeah, Nick is currently dressed as Heath Ledger right now.
I will learn it all.
Hey, yo, hi, bros. Little pause for the cause as we pass our money-saving powers on to you. If you're anything like me and you like chewing massive wads of gum while being admired for wearing hilariously gruesome t-shirts, then do the natural thing and head over to glorpgum.com and enter in the promo code I'mABroLever. That's going to get you 15% off any purchase over $20. That's I'mABroLever. I''M space A space B ROLIEVER. Glorp.
I'm going to give my theory in a southern accent.
Okay.
So I did.
Well, you're not going to.
I threw that away.
Okay.
So I have two theories, one of which I will describe, and I'm going to try to make it as condensed as possible. So try to follow me here. Off the top, I'm going to say, in both of these theories, I do think the government was involved in some capacity. Do I think the government was responsible for killing and staging a murder-suicide of Mr. Danny Casolaro? No, I do not think the government went through with this. Do I think that whatever was going to be released through Promise, through the Inslaw scandal, do I think whatever was going to be released would have caused problems if it became public for our government? 100%. And I think after the Watergate scandal, if from the perspective of the government, I think if too many things come out, it causes distrust in society. And if you have distrust in society, you have a breakdown of society. And if if half of society doesn't trust the government, it's fine because they don't have enough probable cause. They just have to assume they don't trust the government. So I think whatever Casolaro had, if it was that suitcase, either the person who killed him took it or the government took it. I do not think they killed him. So for the record, I will say that. I do not think the government was involved in his murder-suicide. However...
Are you saying that because you don't want to die?
No, I'm saying that because I truly believe that that's not what happened.
Okay.
I do believe one theory that it was a suicide. I think it was a staged suicide. And the reason I say this is because to go back on what Taylor talked about, Casolaro came from a family of 6. His father was a successful gynecologist. His brother was a successful physician. His sister was successful. He was the one in the family, the black sheep, which he referred to himself as multiple times. He was the black sheep of the family. He was trying to kind of find his way. He worked at a computer company for a while, is what Taylor said, and then he became a journalist. He worked at a company for a while, got fired when a new owner came in. He was down on his luck. He wrote a book that no one gave a fuck about. And as an author, you want to find success. You want to be remembered. You want to write something that moves people and changes the way people think. So I think the moment that Casolaro, when he was a journalist, he did investigate Watergate, as Taylor said. He saw a different perspective. When he found out about Inslaw and how crazy this is, and when he started getting sources, he's like, holy shit, this is my moment. This is it. This is my magnum opus. This is what's going to get me somewhere. And I think after 2 years, it became a lot. He was in too deep. He was meeting with people who were murderers. They were illegal arms dealers. They were bad dudes. I mean, there's even a report that years after, one of the specific people robbed a bank, who was one of his sources in the case.
Yeah, this was Nichols, correct?
Yes, it was Nichols.
Yeah, weird. A lot of reports of like Nichols previously being like a bad dude, bad blood guy, but it's like, he's got the info. We gotta go with him. And keep in mind, no one knows how this guy makes a living.
No,
so
nothing at all.
That should just tell you right now, he's making money doing illegal shit. Obviously.
And in Casolaro's notes, Casolaro stated that he heard from people that Nichols has killed people, but he has a clean slate. No criminal record at all.
Okay.
Clean slate.
Like James Bond or some shit?
Yeah. So all that condensed down, with all that being said, I think that Casolaro went, he had this idea in his mind. He said, how am I going to be remembered as an author? I'm going to leave this case open. I've made, I will make the news because I've basically, he became the octopus. His tentacles were out to enough people. And I think that if he staged his own suicide, because he's a writer, people compared his writing to Hemingway. He even wrote in his book, The Ice King, a first-person account of what if he died. He also mentioned in an interview with a female source, he randomly mentioned that one of his favorite authors committed suicide by putting a bag over their head.
Very odd.
Super odd. So one of my theories is that I do think that Casolaro committed suicide on his own. I think he staged it himself to look like a murder to make his life become a story.
Oh.
And I think that was so important, and that becomes even more clear to me because last night I found in his journal he had about 10 pages of a story written called Behold, a Pale Horse, which was quoted as a true crime narrative by Daniel Casolaro. On the front, it says, Behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him, and they were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword and with famine and with pestilence and by wild beasts of the earth. So that was the name of this quote-unquote true crime narrative.
So
he was trying to write a book. So he was writing this crazy book using real people's names and all that stuff, and he was basically trying to sell each chapter to someone to make money because he had no money. And so there's a part of me that thinks that he did stage his own suicide to look like a murder, to be a story.
Like a publicity stunt.
Yes.
The ultimate publicity stunt.
However, my probable cause is that what his brother said, that he was afraid of needles, he was afraid of, blood.
It's a big part of it.
And the amount of pain to almost cut through one tendon and then cut through another tendon, it doesn't make sense.
There's 1,000 ways to forge a suicide or make it look like a murder.
Yes.
And why would he choose the one that is his least favorite?
Painful.
Or his least favorite? If I know people who are whatever the phobia is of blood, and they would not, if they even drew blood of themselves, they'd pass the fuck out just right then and there. So
so how would he even handle that shit?
Why wouldn't he pick like a staged or a staged murder suicide, like for like a hanging or something, or a gun?
Right. Well, and that
gun's
and like
easiest one.
in the first pages of Behold a Pale Horse, he basically like proposes in this treatment, and then he has one sentence that says, "Behold a Pale Horse will be a haunting odyssey that depicts a manifesto of deceit, decisions of conscience, good and evil, intrigue, and betrayal." And it just all seemed like a little too odd. But like I said, the theory became debunked in my own mind with the way that he committed suicide and how that doesn't add up. And there wasn't enough painkillers or alcohol in his body to where he would not feel the absolute pain. And the fact that the blood was not sprayed everywhere. The blood, there was a puddle, it puddled on the ground, and then it was in the bathtub with him that was half full with water, and he was in there nude, in the bathtub nude. Now, looking at his true crime narrative, it led me to a name, John Philip Nichols, which this led me to my final theory.
Okay.
And then I got nothing. But I Googled John Philip Nichols because the name looked really familiar. And the reason why it looked familiar is because someone very close to him named Robert Booth Nichols.
Whoa. Yeah.
There was a connection. And so I Googled John Philip Nichols and found an article in the LA Times archives from January 19th, 1985, saying that John Philip Nichols was associated directly to the Cabazon Band of Mission Indians, which is what Taylor referenced.
Yeah. The arm stuff.
Yes, the arm stuff. And John Philip Nichols found out that 3 specific people were going to infiltrate and break the news. And these people were Alfred Alvarez, Patricia Castro, and Ralph Bogar. These 3 people were found shot to death on the patio of a ramshackle house. John Philip Nichols was then questioned and then accused of soliciting 2 police informants to kill from 1 to 4 more persons. That means John Philip Nichols was accused and sentenced to prison for a murder for hire plot.
Oh.
Yes. So who's to say Robert Booth Nichols. Who's to say Robert Booth Nichols did not have a murder for hire plot against Danny Casolaro? Robert Booth Nichols knew a lot about Casolaro. They spoke on the phone for hours and hours upon end. They were close. Nichols knew where Danny Casolaro lived. Nichols even talked about buying Casolaro's house. He knew Casolaro.
Plausible.
One of the last people in sources that Casolaro met with was Robert Booth Nichols. Was Robert Booth Nichols the one connected to the death of Danny Casolaro?
I find that to be very probable. And what's even weirder to me is that he was introduced to Danny by the Hamiltons themselves.
Exactly.
Is it possible that the whole investigation / like slight uncovering of this octopus thing was a cover in itself to like cover their tracks? Like maybe the government didn't even fucking steal the shit. Maybe it had to look like a theft from the government for them to do some kind of money transaction. Money is somehow up in the air. Keep something in the court systems for some fucking reason. And Nichols is the guy on the inside who's going to do people's dirty work. Hamiltons know this.
Yep.
They hire him to trail fucking Danny Casolaro, spoon feed him some info just long enough to accomplish whatever they needed. And then when it gets too close, boom,
And
nip him at the bud.
And that's brilliant, Taylor, because what if all this, it's what we talked about with CERN and the LHC. It's what we talked about Bohemian Grove. It's what we've talked about. It's all about the power of illusion, the power of distraction.
Yeah, people somehow able to set up these cogwheels and see somehow like a chain of movements that's going to happen on down the line, and they can fucking defeat us in chess, 10 moves ahead. They can see what we're going to do 10 moves ahead somehow. They probe this. They know that one of 5 things is going to happen, which is going to motivate this, motivate these other things, and then somehow get what they want.
Yep, 100%. And that's like all eyes were off this case. It was like the ultimate illusion because the only eyes on the case were Casolaro.
Yeah,
he was literally interviewing everybody. He had notes of numbers and names and hotels and all this.
The victim. He became the scapegoat to the Hamiltons, essentially.
Yes.
Fuck, dude, that makes a lot of sense.
It's crazy, but the whole point of this episode, the whole point of the story is that it's not that we're trying to solve the case. It's not that we're investigators. We're not trying to come to any conclusion. We're not coming to any conclusion. But the point here with the podcast, with our hypotheticals, is that life is like a game of telephone. Mm-hmm. There are fabrications, whether they're purposeful, intentional, or not. Fabrications happen in a story. Things change over the course of time. We've seen it with Netflix documentaries. We've seen it with Making a Murderer. We've seen it with The Staircase. We've seen it with Evil Genius. Things change over time because more people come out and they provide pieces of information that were given. And like I said, our source had given. God, I had another stroke there. All of this information was given to the police. This is not illegal information. This is not information. This was turned over to the police. These are police reports that I have. These are
it adds to the oddity that like the police had this information from the actual eyewitness account, right. Yet all the official reports have all these other so-called facts that don't seem to really have existed. Exactly. Now, are they straight up lies? Are they just fabrications? Things to try and like make a crime scene appear out of nowhere that they're like, fuck, we destroyed this crime scene. We suck as police. We got to go ahead and piece something together. Make it seem like he was drunk and had Vicodin in his system.
Right. It's all about that, but it's also about the period of time. I mean, Promise was said to be sold to Iran. As the police, as the FBI, as the government, if you open up Casolaro's, even if he had one folder there, which I don't believe, if he had one folder there and you open up and you see the word promise scribbled all over the place, the last thing you want to do is for this to become public. You want it to become
true.
You want it to become as quietly public as possible, for the reason being you don't want people to start questioning what you're doing. And Iran and Iraq, we were having major problems with them in the 90s through the early 2000s.
Whole Middle Eastern War.
Yeah. It was a big deal. And after Watergate had happened, that scandal made people question our own government. So it's not like the last thing you want is journalist murder, suicide. And it did get picked up. We have scans, we have images from different magazines, articles, but it died very quickly. It probably lasted about a year. Unsolved Mystery aired it in 93. And then it was done. And that's it.
Yeah, I think they even did a second episode of it, too. A couple of years later.
They reopened the case. I know they reopened the case, I think, in 95. And they got nowhere. They were like, unfortunately, there's not enough evidence we found. I was telling Taylor that I feel like because Casolaro was a writer, because his writing was very weird and first person, very artsy, I feel like he would have been the guy that hid notes in his documents that if you took it, you could connect the dots.
I'm sure.
But no one wanted to. Why would police want to connect the dots? No. And why would the people, his sources, why would they want to continue the investigation? And why would journalists want to? Because a journalist was killed.
If the guy and the head of this investigation is, he's spearheading all this info, he gets killed. It's like, okay.
You don't want any affiliation with it.
I'm bowing out.
But that's like Taylor and I were talking about the idea of as a person though, I know you get adrenaline rushes from being in danger and shit like that. I ride roller coasters, right? My heart pounds. I know I'm in danger, but I have a great time. Like when you talk to your first source, okay, the Hamiltons hook him up with the first source. How does that fucking call go? Like, hey, this is Danny Casolaro. Oh, hi. My name's Ron Conchuto. I'm an arms dealer, and I worked on Inslaw, and I know some crazy shit that's probably going to get you killed.
And I got drugs.
And I got mad drugs.
Instantly, he becomes a dangerous person, and his adrenaline goes up. Like it's an adrenaline rush, and he thinks he's like, so the guy in True Lies, the guy who pees himself.
Yeah,
he wants to be this bad guy, but when you get down to it, you can ultimately get yourself killed.
But for 2 years dealing with these like ultra criminals, I don't know.
Ultra criminals who are still out there playing the game. They've done shit wrong, yet somehow they're out here doing it. Like Nichols, it's all hearsay whether he killed anyone or whether he threatened anyone ever. But dude, how the fuck does this guy get his money? What is he doing? Somebody needs to know this.
Right, and he borrowed a ton of it.
Isn't that how they get people on like tax evasion and stuff? I thought that's how they get bad guys, is because they can't explain their like mode of income.
Yeah.
That's how they get all the big crime bosses. Where are the cops at on this? Come on, West Virginia.
WV.
Man.
If you want to commit a crime, apparently, go to West Virginia. Murder cover-ups are easy.
Martinsburg, West Virginia, home of
bring
political
two different
cover-ups.
shoelaces bring a shoelace from two different shoes. No one can figure this shit out now.
Logan Lucky, it took essentially 5 acts to figure out there was actually FBI investigating a tax fraud for that. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
It took so long for them even to give a shit in West Virginia about that race car that was like millions of dollars of money laundering. So
Right, but with such a political influence in Martinsburg, West Virginia, was it a choice that the investigation was a little shoddy? Was that a decision?
Possibly. In my opinion, it's half luck and half somebody did a pretty good job of staging a suicide, and they just got lucky that these cops were not ready for it. And it's possible that even if the cops were ready for it, if they were L.A. cops or whatever, they do the show all the time. I mean, New York homicide guy. Maybe they did a good enough job in the cover-up to where they still wouldn't have been figured out. Who knows?
And before we wrap this up, there's like one specific piece, and I know, Taylor, you and I didn't really touch on it, but I know a lot of listeners are thinking, what about the note?
Yeah, wait, what about the stage things that were just there? What?
Right, well, I mean, we don't know. All I have is from our source, like what was...
eyewitness account, son.
Eyewitness account, like what was contradictory to what was in the report and the reports that are public. But the thing about the note that's fascinating is that Casolaro was a writer. This man
He would
not
Apparently
have written...
a very wordy person.
He was very wordy. And also, he was an Irish Catholic, I believe. He's Irish Catholic. He wouldn't have ended the note with, I hope, I'm sure God will let me in. Yeah. That's not what Casolaro would have done, and he wouldn't have written one sentence.
Yeah, a wordy person, I mean, if I can make it sound morbid as possible, like, if I was in that situation, there'd be 100% fact that I would make it as personal or like, please forgive me, family, talk about my family, introspection, talk about things. Not just make it one sentence, boop, done. Like he would have written a novel about this. This is like capitalization, like to its finest, or make some way tied into his book or something that was like, it just doesn't seem like what was given, the note-wise, just doesn't seem plausible.
No.
It's too plain. Like,
and it wasn't
you go to freesuicidenotes.com, this will be one of the first templates that pops up.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, like, it's just, and everyone said that. Like, even in the attorneys, his specific attorney, the whole, you can search the archives and you can read the deposition. His attorney stated, this is not what Casolaro would have done. Like this,
I'm sure his family wouldn't either. Even like he said, like his son in the note, or whatever. He like said, like
he wouldn't have put
like there were
any of that.
There's
shit.
so many things. I feel like the person that would have staged this would have done a much better job of forging a suicide note. Even the things I barely know about, I feel like I would have done a better job than giving one sentence.
Yeah, right. I mean, the brother was very adamant on being like, "This is bullshit. This is not even close to something that he would have done. Everything about it seems out of character.
It's almost
seem like something he would have.
It's almost like embarrassing or what's the word? Like making fun of it, because like obviously you're doing a shitty job like staging this, because they didn't encapsulate who he was or what he believed or what he would have said in his final moments.
Right, but from a writer's perspective, if he staged it himself, and it went back to my theory.
Oh,
if you were staging your own
I'd make it look like somebody.
You would make it look like someone else wrote the note.
Yeah. I'd be like, goodbye, friend Bobby. I don't know a Bobby.
Right. Like, peace out. Like,
I would have said that.
Yeah, but the last thing is as far as the man showing up. I know the listeners like, but what about the man who showed up with the medal at the funeral?
All of our listeners sound that inquisitive.
Yes.
Nick, but what about the man?
Oh, sir!
I have questions.
There are two people that could have been. We don't know what the medal was, but there are two specific people that could have been. There is a man who was associated with Booth as well. His name was like Kohler or Kuehler. I can't really pronounce his name. He kind of came and went. He was a major. He was a general. He could have showed up. He had multiple calls with Casolaro. He knew what he was trying to do. The major gave him some information. He could have been the one that showed up. Also, apparently,
what merited a medal though? Like, and what medal? Like, it could have been like a medal of like something that they
Unknown.
forgot to give to him. Like, if it was like a medal of honor, or if it was like some recognition that was like a high, award. What could he have done or uncovered because he died for it that would have warranted a general to show up and do it? Because that's a high fucking praise.
Yeah,
thing.
that kind of points towards maybe he was murdered, and that people close to this investigation knew that he was doing something very important and possibly very good for the American people. And this would be something that, a general would, someone who's very patriotic, and they would feel the need to honor somebody for that, right?
Right. But I mean, I think a lot of people were kind of hitting the point and telling him, dude, Cassie, bro. D-Cass, homie. You're doing some crazy shit and you're going to get killed. And this major could have been one that says, I respect what you're doing. I understand, but you're not coming back from this.
You're going to die from this, son.
You're going to die.
It's a suicide mission.
Exactly. And all it could have been is that Casolaro was like, nah, brah, I'm committed. I'm gonna follow this through no matter what happens.
And he
this is my life's work.
As the black sheep, he would have had no other reason to go on.
Well,
he would have spent his whole life work.
This is it. Like, this is the big case.
All or nothing.
And the idea, like, if someone told you you're gonna die, you'd be like, all right, come on. Like, I know I'm into some crazy shit, but let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Ain't nobody gonna kill me.
I know. I'm invincible, dog.
Just going to the hotel. Just going to the Pizza Hut. No big deal.
Going to that Pizza.
You know what's kind of funny about this whole thing is that he seemed shockingly cavalier about the whole thing. If I was getting murder threats, if I thought that I was into some high shit, if I was talking to drug dealers and arms people and I was involved in the government, I feel like I would have, in my opinion, a target on my back. Yeah, he's walking into some Sheraton hotel, walking up NBD, going to get Pizza Hut, talking to his neighbors about this stuff. Yo, dog, I'm talking about all this crazy shit.
Right.
And this guy's got balls of steel. I'd be like even I'm on this podcast talking about it, and I'm worried about. Yeah,
Johnny's wearing a bulletproof vest right now.
I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. I'm wearing a full mesh armor just in case there's a shark attack. I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
Well,
I would say, to be an investigator, one of the things that you have to have, I would imagine, is the ability to talk to people and talk to anyone and just start striking up conversations with everyone. You just start talking to people while you're having a beer or whatever, and that turns into major intel. Like,
but he was cavalier about it. Like, he didn't even.
Taylor,
that's
how
think he was going to get killed, I guess.
That's how he met the major who gave him information. Is he was meeting a woman at a bar, and he struck up conversation with this major, and that guy ended up being a source for him. And,
NBD just striking up a conversation with a.
Yeah, but that's what you do as a journalist. But like, as far as having balls of steel, I go back to the Zodiac case, and he was so obsessed, the guy who was writing the article, even after he was kicked off, because he was so obsessed, they kicked him off the story and the investigation. He had honed in, it's this guy. This is the guy, this is the Zodiac killer, this is him. He went by himself to this dude's house, okay? By himself to a guy that probably killed about 40 people.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of head.
Yeah. And went alone. And like, I think when you reach a point where you're so obsessed after 2 years, I think there's this sort of invincibility that takes over.
You've survived this long, and you are either the make or break for the situation. You either think you're the shit and you can't die, or you're invincible and you're unright.
Right.
Yeah, and you're the only guy who's got the information to solve this fucking puzzle anyways, so no one's going to listen to you. You just got to do it.
That's true.
Right. And speaking of information to solve the puzzle, guys, that's what we've given you. Where we hope we've given you today is that we've empowered you with a semi-informative podcast, a semi-informative episode to empower you to do more investigations and let us know what you think. What do you think happened? Send us your theories. If you got a hypothetical you want us to talk about, or a thought you'd like us to share,
or think about,
great news. You can shoot us an email at hybrothoughts@gmail.com. And who knows? Maybe we'll bring it back up and we'll talk about your hypothetical.
This was essentially a correlation of somebody sending us an email of a source.
Yeah, we'll quote you. We'll
send us some cool shit to talk about.
Send us cool shit.
Not like we don't have enough, because I know you guys have way more than we need.
So much stuff.
But if you guys want something specifically, let us know.
Send us emails. Tell us what you want to receive in a surprise box from the Hybros with our logo on it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Tell us what weird items would be cool.
Or we'll shock your friends. Tell us something to send to one of your friends, and we'll do a surprise
we'll send you mystery boxes. Also, make sure to head over to the Facebooks and give us a like at facebook.com/Hybrothetical Thinking for more content throughout the week. Videos, cool stuff. And you know what? Since this felt like a big episode to us, I'm going to go ahead and announce it right now.
You're announcing it?
We're going to announce it. Guys, we're going to be in Orlando in August. August 10th and 11th.
Fuck yeah.
We're going to have a booth at the Walker Stalker Con. It's a Hybrothetical booth.
Fuck yeah.
Come on by. We're going to have a little fun spin wheel. You can win some real cool shit that we're not going to talk about yet.
Fuck yeah.
We're going to have a shirt design to sell that you can only get at the Walker Soccer Con in Orlando.
Boy.
And we're going to have what we're calling and still figuring out a hybro chamber to which you can step inside. We'll be giving you a hypothetical, and you know what? You can talk about it for 2 minutes, and you'll be featured on an episode of Hybrothetical Thinking. So if you live in Orlando or are planning on traveling down to the con, come check us out. Say hello. We'll be there. And it's going to be a good time.
Yeah,
give us high fives because we're good at it.
We're very good at high fives.
It's all in the elbow.
A lot of people there. It is. It's all about the eye contact in the elbow. We're going to do a lot of stuff down there. We're really stoked about it. A lot of people are going to be there. And I am just so excited to do something live, essentially, in front of people. And I know some people that are going to be there that they're going to be fucking stoked to even be a part of this whole entire situation. Let alone my dad, who's on the other podcast. It's an anonymous person. The more and more we talk about Kevin Beckford, Danny Coughlin, people that we know that are invested in this podcast, the more cool it's going to be. It's so much more inclusive and like encompassing of people than they want to be a part of it. I'm sorry, I'm getting so
everything that Johnny said. I don't know what he said, but yes.
It was a lot of words. I'm sorry, but I'm just so excited. I'm so excited.
I wonder if Beckfar is going to be there.
I hope so.
Oh, we fucking better be, dude.
Also, make sure, guys, if you're listening to on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever the fuck you listening.
What the fuck, dude?
Make sure to go find that little 5-star, that thumbs up, and just give it a 5. High five that 5-star, because you know what? You're going to get us closer to reaching that top 100 spot. That might never happen because we're still sitting at 19 reviews, but there can be 20. If one of you just go give us a 5-star, type a nice little review that talks about the crazy shit we talk about, and you could be featured on our website in the quotes section.
Well, I don't think you could. You probably will be.
You definitely will be.
Give us that 20th review, and I guarantee you, if you show up in Orlando, you'll get 20 high fives.
20 high fives from each of us.
From each of us. That's 60 high fives, guys.
Double high fives.
That's 60 high fives.
120 high fives.
We'll count it out.
You can redeem those at any time.
Yeah,
that's true. Like once a day for 120 days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd have to come to us, but
yeah,
it's doable. It's doable.
Also, make sure to check out our brand new hybrotheticalthinking.com. That's hybrotheticalthinking.com. We have so much stuff to plug. This outro gets longer and longer every time, but make sure to check out that website. We got some cool shit. We're gonna have a shop up soon. And guys, thanks for still listening. This is episode 16. It's crazy. Many more to come. We're super excited about it, and we can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Even though we can't actually hear you.
I can hear them
in your head, Johnny.
Yeah, I can hear everybody in my head. Johnny. Well, let's not go that far, but that makes me feel good, guys.
So without further ado, guys, I have been, hopefully will always be if I don't get fired from this podcast, been one of your hosts, Nick Floyd.
Ain't nothing you can do about it, people. I'm going to keep being me. Just Taylor O. Nelson.
As long as the government doesn't kill me, I'm going to remain Johnny Clark. And if I don't, you guys know, I didn't kill myself. The government did it. You best believe
the last person to say that.
Yeah, just don't have shoestrings, ashtrays, plastic bags, or razor blades near you, and we'll be able to figure it out.
You guys know who I am. You know where
any of those things are near you.
Hi, guys, I promise.
Mystery will remain.
I'm a good person, I'm a happy person. Nothing's going to happen. I swear to God, I'm saying if I die, it wasn't me. It was either a shark or the government.
A shark on land with legs.
Oh, dude, don't scare me.
A street shark, if you will.